Following the unrest at the Capitol last Wednesday, many Democrats were quick to denounce Trump supporters while forgetting about comments like this from Democrat leaders like Nancy Pelosi and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Watch this.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Our families and our communities, hold them accountable.
Well,
make the phone call, send the email, show up. You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be when people realize that this is a policy.
All right, our panelists are going to react to that. Democratic strategist and attorney Kelly Hyman joining me live now. Good to see you. And also Melanie Burkholder, Republican strategist and former Secret Service agent. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on today. A lot to talk about, and there are a lot of questions on both sides of what we're seeing and how it's covered. Melanie Burkholder, I'll start with you on this. You've seen it right out the gates with one side coming out and denouncing what's happened. And in the summer, what you've seen is much different.
Yeah, and I think in regard to party, we actually need to be focusing on uniting the country and not dividing it even further. So it would be nice to hear these leaders to actually call on unity and not aggression and divisiveness. So that would be the first step. And it is different. I mean, it's very rich that they can pretend like there's no history or recording that they actually said those things and then turn around and say that we're inciting violence on the Republican side. It's just very rich, in my opinion.
Kelly, there are several instances of this, and there's a lot of sound. We just pulled a little bit of it. Why do you think that all Democrats united against the violence that you saw at the Capitol, but not the violence that you've seen over so many different cities of Portland and Seattle and Chicago and many others? Why was this different?
Well, first off, I would disagree with that. I think that people support peaceful protests. That's what makes our democracy and makes our country so great. But having said that, we have to remember that Trump incited these people, and they went in and they broke into Nancy Pelosi's office. They stormed the Capitol, and this is not what our country is about. And I absolutely believe that we should come together and unite, but people need to be held accountable for their actions.
Melanie Burkholder, do you agree with that Trump incited the violence at the Capitol? Why or why not?
I don't, because those weren't the words. I mean, when you say we want to have a peaceful demonstration, you want to have a peaceful demonstration. He did not say go storm the Capitol. In no way, fashion, or form did he say, let's have 5 people dead at the end of today's demonstration. So it's just misrepresenting what actually was supposed to happen that day. I do believe there were actually agitators in the group that were plants, that were imposters, pretending to support Trump so that they could have acts of violence instead of having a peaceful demonstration. I had friends that were actually there that became fearful for their lives, and they left because what started out as a peaceful rally, a supporting rally for the president, turned into mob violence. That does not happen in a typical rally, regardless of if you're Democrat or Republican. What we saw last summer was those Democrat leaders calling for more violence, which is just simply not what should be happening with our leaders in Congress and in the House.
Just to point out, the sound bites that we showed, those political leaders called for unrest, showcased a lot of anger. Nancy Pelosi saying uprising. So if we do hold everyone to verbatim of their speeches, you could go back. This is a slippery slope where we're getting at this point. Kelly Hyman, thank you so much for your time. Melanie Burkholder, you as well. Thank you both.